Hey everyone. I've pointed this out in the past, but I don't think I can express it enough. And articles out of the CNBC, such as this one, is going to help prove my point once and for all so that people can finally realize, well, who exactly are these people that I'm supposed to be going against, right? Because that's the thing. Everyone's outraged about something, but they don't know. It's hard to understand because of all the propaganda and the narratives that are put forth by the central planners and control freaks. Who's to blame? Obviously, central planners and the platform, the very premise of central planners, so those who propagate the system of governments, of course, they are to blame. But they are only the instrument, the tool that's used, right? But we all know now you can't paint everyone into with a broad brush. But when you're talking about demographics, we all at least must know instinctively just by looking around, whether it's in our personal family settings, right? Maybe in our communities, maybe in the major cities around us, maybe in our provinces or states, or maybe even the federal government, or maybe those in media. Maybe it's lawyers, judges. But most people must instinctively understand, or even if they don't instinctively understand it, once you point it out to them, they'll be like, oh, of course. The people that are now pretty much running the show and have been for the last 30 years are the baby boomer generation. And I've done probably 2 or 3 videos in the past covering this particular topic because it's something that, like I say, it's profoundly important for people to understand. Not just the causes, but who are causing the problems. What type of people are causing the problems? And what's the underlying fundamentals and reasons behind these problems? Now, that's a documentary to try to cover and encompass that entire thing. But in each individual segment or portion, I like to point out on a regular basis things such as this. So this is from the Associated Press. So Associated Press and Reuters are the 2 biggest proponents of information that's disseminated to the public, all right? So whether it's in Canada, the US, UK, most media outlets follow the lead of AP and Reuters. So listen to the headline of this AP article. This is very telling. You got to remember, these people have to think about what they're going to use as a headline. They have to think about the political ramifications, right? The sociological ramifications, all these things. But a lot of people nowadays don't go that far. That's what I'm seeing a lot is what I think that people used to be, or what the premise of what professional journalism used to entail. I realize now that that's all been thrown out the window. Anyways, let me get to the headline. Millennials are falling behind their boomer parents. Millennials are falling behind their boomer parents. That's the headline from the Associated Press. And followed up by this reporting by CNBC. And of course, it would have been widely propagated and disseminated to all the establishment media outlets. But millennials are falling behind their boomer parents. So think about that. The person that's originating this article, and hopefully I'll see the name, but it just says AP right now. Maybe once I get to the bottom, it might say the actual name, and I'll try to point that out. But who would be thinking in such a manner that millennials are boomer parents or have boomer parents? Only those that have professional, like corporate, government, or what would be considered the professional class, right? Those are the people that had to put off having their kids, or the feminists, right? The social justice warriors, those who created and instilled identity politics in the modern era that we live in. Yeah, these are the people, feminists, social justice warriors from that, the original boomer cohort we're seeing now. That they, like, to even suggest millennials are falling behind their boomer parents. Well, I'm a Gen Xer. And everybody from my demographic that I know in my age cohort, I'm 46, we all have kids. Most of us, a lot of us, not all obviously, but a lot of us have kids of the same age range as these boomers. So I have millennial kids. My oldest son's 25. My youngest son's 21. No, 22, sorry, now. So, but there are the boomers that have kids at that same age range, and they seemingly don't even understand that there's a whole generation in between. So when they talk about these things, so let me go down to even into the article. And this is the part that I'm seeing. And I guess it also tells me why Gen X, and I understand this even in my own personal subjective experience, but it helps me better understand why Gen X don't really care for government. We're not big government proponents for the most part. We're not the ones that you're hearing out there all the time advocating for central planning and governments. Why? Because a lot of us were latchkey kids. We had to learn to be self-sufficient, do everything on our own, because our boomer parents were trying to just get through life, and they were distracted with all these other things. So but I'm very thankful for that, because it gave me the ability to have critical thinking skills. I didn't have to be forced how to think or told how to think. I had the ability, thankfully to my parents, to be able to learn these things on my own, with real tangible, real world experience. I don't just have, knowledge or intelligence that you can learn from a book, right? Or in education. I have street smarts, which, now that's just another term, but you could call it nature smarts. You could have real world smarts, but it's basically just, I have had the ability. Now it is, obviously you leave someone out to their own devices. Yeah, it could be perilous at times, but because of that, it taught me to be able to learn and adapt and understand things much better than, these millennial kids with their boomer parents that are much less off. Because your boomer parents, you're still living in their basements for the most part, right? That's really what it is you allowed your boomer parents to be your authority throughout your entire life, and you yielded to their authority, and now you feel like you're subservient, and the only one that can help you are them. Whereas people like myself, because I had to learn to fight, the fight or flight mechanism is built in instinctive, because it's like nobody propped me up. Nobody propped Gen X up. While the boomers were out doing their thing, Gen X had to learn to thrive and survive all on our own, and to navigate and find ways to go through our lives and figure out what works best, what's proper, what's moral, what's ethical, what makes sense. So we're in a much better position to be able to discern the difference between these boomers who, like I say, and we all know, like, because of their greatest generation parents, and after World War II, they were fortunate enough that they fell on a bed of prosperity, because that happened as a result of their parents and their grandparents. But now, see, they were taught the wrong things. They weren't taught, proper work ethics and how to do the right thing. So they didn't teach that to their kids. And their kids now aren't seeing the prosperity and all this stuff happening. But what it is, like I said, I don't even want to get into the fundamentals of saying, because, each individual circumstance is going to have everyone's going to have their own personal story and how that's going to play out and why, what the underlying reasons or fundamentals of what their personal, the causation of the personal problems or the personal angst or why they're not doing so well in the economy or in their personal lives, right? But just the headline alone, that's something that should at least spark the minds of most people. Think, now I get what Bennett's been trying to say all along. Yes, the boomers don't recognize, the cohort of boomers, like I say, the professionals that are now the media pundits, the political class, the ruling elites, corporate execs, right? They don't even seemingly understand that there's a whole population outside of their realm, outside of their secluded, gated communities. And I'm seeing this constantly all the time. Go down right into it. Baby boomers, your millennial children are worse off than you. With a median household income of $40,581, millennials earn 20% less than boomers did at the same stage of life, despite being better educated, according to a new analysis of Federal Reserve data by the advocacy groups Young Invincibles. The analysis being released Friday gives concrete details about a troubling generational divide that helps to explain much of the anxiety that defined the 2016 election. Millennials have half the net worth of boomers. Their home ownership rate is lower, with their student debt is drastically higher. Okay, one more. I'll do one more paragraph. The generational gap is a central dilemma for the incoming presidency of Donald Trump, who's essentially pledged a return to the prosperity of post-World War II America. The analysis also hints at the issue of cultural identity that divides many voters, showing that while millennials, who still earn much more than their black and Latino peers, have seen their incomes plummet the most relative to boomers. But like I said, Let me go back up. So yeah, CNBC, it's under personal finance. Millennials are falling behind their boomer parents, and it's originated from the AP. So go ahead and read the rest of this article. But like I keep saying, and like I keep seeing all the time, which keeps raising these alarms all the times, yes, Gen X, yeah, we're the true leaders of liberty. Millennials, yeah, don't look to the boomer cohorts that are in these so-called positions of authority for guidance, okay? Look to Gen Xers, those who've had to rely on their own, instincts and prowess and strength of mind and character and body. Look to people like us for guidance, okay? Because we're not going to lead you down that fucking stupid path of forced subjugation and collectivism. We're going to tell you, we're going to be honest with you. I continue and have always tried to be honest with people and try to help to explain them. And I'm not right on everything. I don't know everything. I can't ever. No one person can ever know everything. But take what I got to say and everything that you hear with a grain of salt, but at least take it upon yourself to think, who's at least attempting to be honest with me? Who has authority over, who doesn't have authority over me? That's Gen X, except Trudeau, right? But this is a guy, Trudeau is an exception to the norm here. Trudeau is the son of the ruling class. So even though he might be of the Gen X cohort, he is nothing of the sorts. I wouldn't have anything in common with someone like that guy, okay? Nothing. Just like a regular peasant doesn't have anything in common with, or much in common with the king's son, the prince, the up and coming, right? Totally different scenario. We have totally different outlooks in life. Our view on everything is going to be skewed by our own personal circumstances in our environment. But I do think it's very important that we expand this. I know I'm one of the very few, and I guess I'm a leader in trying to explain this generational divide. I'm one of the first ones to talk about it. Hopefully, though, people will start to jump on board and realize that, yeah, this is something we really should start to talk about more and more often, so that people can at least have a much broader experience and understanding of the world around them. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.